Hello, I'm John Malos. On the program today, we have the editor and the publisher of the Madera Tribune, Chuck Doud. He's in the house. He's here on the set. We'll talk to him about the state of newspapers, the major dailies around the country, like the New York Times, the LA Times. But we'll also talk to him specifically about his newspaper, the Madera Tribune, coming up on Connect with Me, live on Comcast Cable Channel 187 in just a moment. The focus today, of course, is on business right here from the showroom floor, live at Ventura TV each and every day. Connect with Me is the program that you're watching, and today we're going to talk to the editor and the publisher of the Madera Tribune. His name is Chuck Doud. Yesterday I had the very interesting pleasure of visiting, of course, the office where they print the newspaper, where it's published and everything else, and the reporters are in there day in and day out, writing stories, reporting on stories. That's the outside of the Madera Tribune building right there. And of course, Chuck Doud, there he is in the blue shirt and the glasses, talking to some visitors. They were looking at the printing press. Chuck bought the paper with Swift Communications back in 2003. He started there as an editor. Prior to that, he was at Ridgecrest. He was an editor. He worked in Lincoln City, Oregon, Gannett Newspapers. But today, we're going to be talking to Chuck about his own newspaper, the Madera Tribune, how they're doing financially, how the reporters are handling everything, how the advertising is doing, and about some of the major dailies like the New York Times, the LA Times, major newspapers around the country. The state of the newspaper industry, including our own hometown Fresno Bee. How are they doing? We'll get Chuck's take on that and much more. You're watching Connect with Me. We'll be back with Chuck in just a moment.
Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're the save energy, save time, save money place. The Energy Star qualified, ready, steam-equipped, high-efficiency Frigidaire affinity place. You heard right. Right now, save big on select Frigidaire laundry pairs and pay no interest when paid in full within 6 months. At the hometown low price, think outside the big box place. Since 1951, Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're working hard to be your place.
Welcome back to Connect with Me. I'm John Malos, and glad to welcome in now Chuck Doud, the editor of and publisher of the Madera Tribune. Good to have you along, Chuck.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
All right. I brought a couple of newspapers with me. Of course, I was at your place yesterday. Very interesting to be there. But I want to talk specifically, first of all, with some of the major newspapers, like the Fresno Bee. I've got the Fresno Bee here. This is the Madera Tribune. Let's hold that up. That's the Sunday edition. What has happened to the major daily newspapers like the Fresno Bee, the LA Times, the New York Times, Houston, Denver, all these major papers that seem to be having financial troubles and have shrunk in size the last few years? Why have they shrunk in size?
Well, the nature of the business has changed. The communications business has changed, and people are getting their news from several other sources. They still read newspapers. They still depend upon newspapers, but it's possible to get your news from other sources if you want to. Larger newspapers in the big markets have difficulty with competition because the big markets are tempting for the internet competition to come in. Give you an example, there's a classified service online called Craigslist, and they just killed big newspapers because they give away what big newspapers used to sell. Smaller markets like ours do suffer a little bit from Craigslist, but not so much. In smaller markets, we're still running pictures of kids that get trophies for kicking a field goal, that sort of thing.
Well, you had mentioned the audiences. There are other avenues out there where you
Yes.
can get your news, where you can get your entertainment. There's online and other various sources. You can walk around with your cell phone now and get entertainment news from other than a newspaper. So what about the advertisers? Why have many of them bailed out of the newspaper industry and advertising in that way, shape, or form?
Well, part of that has been the economy. Local advertisers generally prefer print advertising. In our market, they definitely prefer print advertising. We've tried to develop internet products over the years, and it's been a waste of money and time, and so our advertisers are generally want to be in print. The larger markets, it's possible for internet products to lure some of their advertisers away, because those larger markets tend to make up for the inefficiencies of that kind of advertising.
What specifically in your mind has happened to the Fresno Bee? Is it the losing of other audiences and other means of getting their information and losing advertisers, or is it much more than that? Can you be a little more specific?
Well, when you say what's happened, I think what you're saying is that it's grown smaller, both physically and in page count, and I would suggest that the Fresno is lucky to have a metropolitan daily newspaper that has maintained itself as much as the Bee has.
Despite the bad economy.
Yes, the Bee is still an excellent newspaper for the town that it serves. But all newspapers have had to deal with costs. They've had to deal with dropping revenue. And if you look at it's just like any other business. If the money that you're depending on goes away and you have to pay more for what you're buying, you have to cut costs someplace.
All right, let's hold that up. That's the Fresno Bee. This is your paper, the Madera Tribune. Mm-hmm. Draw the distinction between the Bee and the Madera Tribune in terms of operating cost, in terms of daily printing, all that sort of stuff. What's the difference between this paper and this paper?
Well, aside from the content that we print a very local content. We're like
specific to Madera.
Yeah, we're like a weekly that comes out every day, where the Bee has a lot of content that is not local, and they see the Bee sees part of their mission being to tell us what's going on in the world and in the nation. We don't see that. We see that as our secondary mission. The Bee is if you hold them up and you look at them, we're talking about this story right here might have made the Bee,
right?
But
you're talking about more
inside.
local, specific issues related to Madera,
yes.
And not so much the world or the nation or the state.
Yeah. Now this particular story here isn't about Madera at all, but it's an interesting story, and that's why we picked it up. But if you look here, if you look down below,
let's just hold that up so they can see right there.
Yeah. If you look below, here, you see they are athletes of integrity.
Right.
And you turn that around, and there are pictures of kids that have won awards.
Right.
Now I'll tell you something. You probably would not see that on the front page of the Fresno Bee.
Okay, if the majors are having financial problems, and this paper has shrunk, the Fresno Bee, including the New York Times, the LA Times, how is it then that the Madera Tribune and other small-town newspapers around our Central Valley are surviving? How are you surviving?
Well, a local business. Local businesses want to advertise in a newspaper. It's just that simple. They want. Now they aren't advertising as much as they used to because they're having their economic problems too. But they don't want to be. They don't want to be on. The local businesses generally don't want to be online. They want to be in a newspaper.
Speaking of online, let's turn around and look at a piece of video of you in your office yesterday, and we were looking at your newspaper online, and you were specifically talking about your online subscribers. So hasn't online cut into your business as well?
Not so much.
Because?
Well, because the local advertisers have tried online and they don't get the results. It's online is very inefficient.
And this is your paper here, of course. You can get it online. It's a
Yes.
paid subscription,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And you have about 100 online subscribers, as you tell it,
Yes.
and 5,000 subscribers overall. But you can actually read the entire newspaper here online, right?
Yes.
The entire Madera Tribune.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you said earlier that a lot of the people have newspaper people, those in the industry. You said earlier that they talk themselves into this hole. Explain what you meant.
Well, I went to a meeting of the California Newspaper Publishers Association in 1999, and it was most of the forums were about online. What are we going to do online? Online is going to kill us. What are we going to do? 5 years later, I went to one, and the big question was: has anybody figured out a way to monetize the internet? Nobody had figured it out. So I came home and I thought, well, if all those heavy thinkers and big brains can't figure it out, I sure can't. And so we just stopped trying to do anything online other than just just using online as a marketing tool. For
This
our
was back in the 90s, but they were writing stories about how the online stuff was going to kill us.
They were reporting on how the reporters and the editors were reporting on how short their lives were going to be.
So they talked themselves into a hole, is what you're saying.
Well, a lot of people in the industry think that way. I think that's probably right. I think we did a little bit of it too.
Right. All right, we're going to continue our conversation with Chuck Doud. He is the editor and the publisher of the Madera Tribune. We're back in just a moment here on Connect with Me.
Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're the low-price leading brands reliable advice place. The Frigidaire Gallery Dream Kitchen Get Yours Today place. You with me? Right now, get huge savings on select Frigidaire Gallery appliances and pay no interest when paid in full within 6 months at the hometown low price think outside the big box place. Since 1951, Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're working hard to be your place.
Welcome back to Connect with Me. I'm John Malos here with Chuck Doud, the editor and the publisher of the Madera Tribune. Let's turn around at your office yesterday. I shot some video of your printing press, and as we roll the tape, we can take a look at it and talk about it a little bit. It's King Press News King. What is that specifically?
Well, it's just a brand of newspaper printing press. It prints. It's called a web offset, and it prints. It's called that because it prints. It brings the paper off a roll of paper, prints it through a series of cylinders, and then folds it into a folder. And the folder, there's the folder right there, and then the folder puts it out for insertion into the total newspaper product.
We talked about this earlier off camera. How many papers do you print per day on average?
Well, it's I'd say we print a little over 5,000.
Right, and per year?
Per year, it'd have to be about 1.5 million papers a year.
How does that compare to the Fresno Bee?
Well, my understanding is that the Fresno Bee has about a daily circulation of about 145,000. And if that's the case, why then they're printing about 52 million papers a year, I'd say.
Wow, 52 million papers a year for the Fresno Bee, as opposed to about 1.5 million for the Madera Tribune. And so, do you ever see any of the major papers, like I keep referring to the New York Times because that's the biggest newspaper probably in the world. It's probably the most recognized. You ever see a paper like that or the Fresno Bee shutting down its presses altogether?
Oh, no. I would not see that at all. In fact,
in other words, completely going online.
No.
Why?
Well, because it's you're fighting. This is the thing. Newspapers are a specific kind of product, and the product is you give people information on paper printed with ink. That's very traditional.
But given
When
the
you were in-
financial status of what we're going through now, and it may or may not get better that much better in the near future, won't finances dictate whether or not those presses are shut down?
John, I have to tell you this. Newspapers,
Tell me, Chuck.
Newspapers survived radio. I'm sorry to report that to you because you're a great radio guy. Newspapers survived television. And I'm sorry to tell you that because you're a great TV guy.
Okay.
But newspapers have survived radio. They have survived television. They will skillfully figure out how to use the internet as a tool to promote what they do, which is print out newsprint.
So you're saying they will survive the internet
And they will grow.
despite what's going on?
Absolutely.
What is it? I mean,
All you have to do is look at history. When radio came along, newspaper circulation went down, came back up. When television came along, all the publishers were slitting their wrists and jumping out of their office windows. Newspaper circulation came back up. So now you're going to see it happen again. If the newspaper owners and stockholders are patient and they allow themselves to be to learn from this experience as they learned from television and radio, they're going to prosper and they're going to grow.
I take it your presses won't ever shut down.
Well, I won't shut them down. Put it that way.
Not as long as you're here.
Yeah.
Oh, so just to turn that press on every day, what does it cost? Just to run the press.
It's kind of hard to say.
On average.
That's just to turn the key in the lock.
Yeah.
We figure it's about $7,000 or $8,000 a day.
That's a pretty hefty price tag to pay each and every day. You've got to be making that in return to stay alive.
Yeah.
Why did you buy the paper in 2003? You were the editor there, of course.
Yeah. I didn't want to work for a living.
What are you saying? You don't work for a living now?
No, I never work a day of my life. The old saying.
I know.
A fellow once told me, and I've repeated it many times, that the newspaper business is the only way you can have fun and get paid for it without having to take your clothes off. And I really, really like the newspaper business, and the people who are in it really, really like it. And
What made you think you could run it and keep it afloat financially?
Well, it was a going business. I wouldn't have started it from scratch. It would have been too expensive for me. But it was a going business when we bought it, and it's continued to be a going business every day. It's a going concern.
Now, we saw your printing press. Give us the difference between that press there. It's a small press. It prints out the Madera Tribune 6 days a week. What's the difference between that press and what the Fresno Bee uses?
Oh boy. How do I tell you? Well, the Fresno Bee has a wonderful printing plant. It's a process called flexography, and the beautiful thing about it is that the ink won't come off on your fingers. If you read the Fresno Bee, the chances are the ink will not come off on your fingers.
What about the Tribune?
If you read the Tribune, the ink will come off on your fingers, and that's a big difference.
Okay.
The second big difference is that they have the ability to print at very high speeds. We do not have that ability. We print at about 6,000 or 7,000 copies an hour.
Right. All right, Chuck Doud, we're going to continue our conversation. We got to take a quick time out.
Okay.
You're watching Connect with me on Comcast Channel 187. I'm John Malos. We're going to be back in just a moment. Stay tuned.
Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're the save energy, save time, save money place. The Energy Star qualified #1 rated high efficiency Cabrio from Whirlpool Place. You heard right. Right now, save big on select Whirlpool Cabrio laundry pairs and pay no interest when paid in full within 6 months. At the hometown low price, think outside the big box place. Since 1951, Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're working hard to be your place.
Don't you ever hit me again!
Chief, I think we got a hit on our
MeTV Fresno, now on Comcast Channel 187.
Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're the low price leading brands reliable advice place. The Whirlpool Dream Kitchen Get Yours Today place. Check this out. Right now, get huge savings on select Whirlpool appliances and pay no interest when paid in full within 6 months. At the hometown low price, think outside the big box place. Since 1951, Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're working hard to be your place.
Hi, welcome back. I'm here with, of course, Dennis. Dennis, you're going to be talking about this Toshiba 26-inch flat screen. And what's so special about this flat screen TV that we're featuring this today?
Well, today I can tell you it is a Toshiba. It is a 26-inch TV. It is an LED flat screen. I can even tell you about the brightness of picture and the quality of picture. But today I really want to talk about the USB port.
Okay, be my guest. What about it?
Well, the USB port is actually the digital age of pictures. You know, how many times did we go out there and Dad pulled out the old projector screen and showing the slides out on a Saturday night? And now when you want to show pictures, everybody's running up to their camera and go, look at the picture real small, or look at my computer. And everybody's rumped around the computer. Well, with this, you can
do that on this.
Exactly. You can actually hook up your digital camera to this TV and do a slideshow. You can actually do it on a flash drive, which is real cheap, you can buy. And all you do is connect it. It'll even prompt you.
All right. Are you showing family photos on here?
Family photos.
Gee, Dennis, how touching.
Well, let's see. The first one is the old supermarket down the street.
Okay.
Oh, come on. Our favorite friend, Parker. We always had fun with Parker that day.
Oh, yeah.
Connect with me with John, so you can actually see the quality of picture. And then at least one more, Me TV Fresno. And you could do a full slideshow. You could do what Saturday night used to be with the family with the photo albums, but you could do it on your own TV.
All right. Can you also use this television as a monitor?
Oh, you sure can. It does have the typical PC input for your computer, so if you want to use it as a monitor, you sure can.
All right. Okay. The big question is, what are you talking about in terms of price?
Well, we normally sell it for $549. We have it on sale for $319, but for Connect With Me viewers from now till noon tomorrow, only $277.
Hey, $277, and that compares to what? For some of the other stores.
The other stores are $500 on up, and the same type of TVs in the LED style.
All right, so we're selling it for at least a couple of $100 cheaper. And how do you do it every day?
We do it because we belong to a $12 billion buyers group, and we buy a lot, which brings down the price, and we pass the savings on to our customers.
All right, Ventura TV is a very easy place to find. Thank you very much, Dennis. You know what? If Chuck Doud could make it here to Ventura TV from Madera, hey, anybody can. If I can make it here, you can make it here. We're right near Selland Arena, right near the fairgrounds, right off the 41, right off the 168, and even off the Highway 99. Ventura TV, a very easy place to get to no matter where you live in the city of Fresno. We're back with more of our conversation with Chuck Doud, the editor and publisher of the Madera Tribune, in just a moment.
Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're the save energy, save time, save money place. The Energy Star qualified, ready steam equipped, high efficiency Frigidaire affinity place. You heard right. Right now, save big on select Frigidaire laundry pairs and pay no interest when paid in full within 6 months. At the hometown low price, think outside the big box place. Since 1951, Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're working hard to be your place.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Warning, warning. Danger, danger. A strange world is on Me TV.
A world somehow like ours, but of incredible darkness and fear.
What is the show called?
It has been called many different names by many different cultures.
Oh, I know. It's called Lost in Space. Saturday at 8, 7 Central on Me TV.
Welcome back to Connect With Me. I'm John Malos, and back here with Chuck Doud, and you are contributing to the local economy. Of course, today is our focus on business. You're a business owner. Let's take a look at some video I shot yesterday of your employees at the Madera Tribune, of course, and they're typing at their computers. There's the Madera Tribune, Children's Hospital to close its daycare. That's an interesting story, but we'll talk about that in a second. Anyway, there's you, and who's that employee there?
That is Farron Montañez. She's a reporter. A very good one.
General assignment reporter.
Mm-hmm.
And
that is Tyler Takeda. He is a sports editor, and he's also the editor of a weekly in Coalinga that we publish.
all right. How many full-time employees do you have, roughly speaking?
Full-time is about 26. We have about another 7 part-time employees, and then we have correspondents and delivery people.
Right, the carriers.
Carriers, yes.
All right.
Overall, we contribute to the living of 54 people.
That's your sports writer there?
That's sports columnist Paul Stanford, yes.
All right, so overall you have about 54 people that you employ at the Madera Tribune, is that correct?
Yes.
All right, so you are contributing to the local economy, and that's important, Chuck.
Mm-hmm. I like to think so, yes.
Mm-hmm. What about Bill Coate? Bill Coate is a guy that I worked with at KMPH. He's a columnist, of course, at the Madera Tribune. You turn around, this is what Bill Coate had to say. This was his reaction when he found out you were going to be a guest on this program. Listen up.
Why would any legitimate news anchor want to have Chuck Doud on his program? What does he have to offer? He didn't have any hair, for crying out loud.
Okay, what's your reaction to that?
Well, Bill Coate is the jewel
Chuck Dowd's reaction
of the San Joaquin Valley, and he's one of the best friends I have, and he's also a very talented journalist. He can, if he needs to, he could sell. He could sell sand to the people in the Gobi Desert.
Does he do that?
He could if he wanted to. But he's very valuable as a writer, very valuable as a friend, and he's just a guy that he writes for us. Of course, he writes 2 columns for us. Plus, he covers schools. He's a former teacher. Mm-hmm. And he's a very good journalist for schools.
All right, there are several local small-town newspapers here in the Central Valley. Do you know how they're surviving, much like the Madera Tribune is surviving? What's the status of some of those other newspapers? Do you have any idea?
I think that most of them are like we are. They're doing okay. I don't think any of them are getting rich, but I haven't heard of any of them closing. The only one that closed was the Coalinga Record, and we started publishing our newspaper, the Coalinga Recorder, in Coalinga 2 weeks after the Record closed. So, and we found that to be a worthwhile venture.
Right.
I don't think any other small publishing companies have closed.
Right. Now, one story I did see in your paper was the Children's Hospital Daycare. Very interesting story in Madera closing down. Mm-hmm. Financial problems?
I can't think there'd be anything else. I think that they would certainly keep that open if it was if they didn't have to subsidize it too much. But they're like any other nonprofit organization. They have to scramble for cash. Right. And that may be something that just wasn't penciling out for them.
All right, Chuck Doud, the editor, publisher of Madera Tribune, good luck to you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Likewise, thank you for coming on the program. I appreciate it. And come back again sometime
soon. Thank you, I will. Mm-hmm.
Very interesting conversation. Tomorrow, we've got Joel Winter. He's a bankruptcy attorney. You may want to check that out here on Connect with me, Comcast 187. I'm John Malos. Have a great day.
Show is coming on.
I'm Lou Grant. Mary asked me to do a promo for Me TV.
You want to see me, Lou?
Not now, Ted. Watch me on...
Danish donut?
I said not now, Ted. Watch me on Me TV.
You don't like me?
I'll fire you.
Watch Mary Tyler Moore. I'll fire you.
Exclusively brought to you by Ventura TV.
Meow.